big picture,
Yeah.
what do you see this committee being focused on?
Well, the good news about my committee, the Oversight Subcommittee on DOGE, is that there's no boundaries. The Oversight Committee really has jurisdiction over every single part of the federal government. So I look forward to using my subcommittee to investigate, shine a very bright spotlight on any type of waste, fraud, and abuse that will be useful in the DOGE Commission.
So do you seeing it being more focused on oversight or on suggesting places to cut? I mean, how does it interact with committees that already exist, like the Oversight Committee and then like the Appropriations Committee and so on?
Well, it perfectly aligns really with what the mission of DOGE is all about, government efficiency, right? And so the subcommittee on delivering government efficiency will highlight really the specific things that President Trump and his incoming administration really want to rein in. And it will be different depending on what department, depending on what program. Maybe if we're looking into NGOs or grants, whatever it may be, we will use these hearings for the American people to find out the truth, and then also use these hearings to come up with solutions and actions that need to be taken.
I think if you asked all 535 people that work in this area, they would say that we agree that we should cut the deficit, but then it's when you get to individual policies and ways that the government's spending money, you're going to find opposition to basically everything. How do you turn this goal that most people agree with, cutting the deficit, into a reality when you know there's going to be pushback on any individual cut?
I think that's a great question. Lucky for me, having this very important responsibility is one I will take seriously. And it should be taken seriously. And so there may be uncomfortable conversations, there may be pet projects that people want to hold on to, but I think what we'll be doing on this subcommittee and the hearings that we will be holding is showing the American people and urging them to have a say in this process. I think the election was an incredible mandate that the American people truly support the agenda that President Trump campaigned on. And this is a mandate that the House and the Senate needs to follow through on. And I plan to use these subcommittee hearings on DOGE to help outline and promote the things that the people truly care about, the programs that we need to completely shut off, the departments that need to be reined in, and just maybe programs that need to be ended altogether, or ones that are very important to keep.
I don't have the numbers on the top of my head, but I do know from past stories I've done that a huge portion of the money that's spent is on either defense or things like Social Security. So are those two huge entities which make up the vast majority of the budget, are they also on the table for cuts?
Well, I'm glad you asked about those. I think Social Security is extremely important. We have to protect it. I know, all of us pay into the Social Security program. There's senior citizens today that wouldn't be able to have a roof over their heads or even feed themselves without their Social Security checks that rightly belong to them. One of the things that I think will be great in the upcoming tax code is President Trump is going to stop taxing people's Social Security. It shouldn't be taxed in the first place.
Which would be less revenue, right?
Less revenue, yes, but that's the type of revenue that this federal government doesn't deserve. It doesn't deserve to take money away from people that work their entire lives, and that the government force them to pay into a system and then they pay them checks out of that system. So that's revenue that the federal government doesn't deserve. The defense, there's going to be a lot of things analyzed in the Defense Department, and it needs to be. Modern warfare has changed. We're seeing a lot of it's gone to drones and different types of weapon systems, and so possibly we can end other expensive weapon systems, and that would allow for potential cuts in the gigantic budget that we have with the Department of Defense. But we're also going to see a change in strategy in these departments, like the Department of Defense, where there's going to be a focus on actually defending the homeland, which is really what the mission of the DOD is all about. And in changing that mission strategy, hopefully we can see a reduction in costs there as well, because the Pentagon, they fail their audit every single year by billions of dollars, and that's just completely unacceptable.
Now, I mentioned that with every program there'd be a fight.
Yeah.
I imagine that's especially kind of fraught if you're taking on the fight when it's defense. because you might have to go to a lawmaker who's trying to defend, I don't know, the manufacturing of this big manufacturer, which is crucial for their area. I mean, are you willing to make enemies even if it's something that's sort of fraught like defense spending? Because everybody's pro-military, pro-defense. So I mean, how
absolutely.
what's your approach when you know that you might have to pick a fight on some of these things?
Well, for example, Elon Musk recently highlighted the F-35 program. And compared it to modern day drones and the future of drones. I think that's a good example to use in looking at programs that may have to be sunsetted, and programs that may have to be started or continued that are a lot less expensive, also safer for our military men and women. So those are the type of things that I'm sure that we will all be looking in, not just my subcommittee, but also other committees here in the House and the Senate as well, and DOGE with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy leading the way. Here's how I see my subcommittee. It's not about being friends with people. It's not about protecting one person's pet project or another. It's really about showing the American people, this is where your tax money has gone. This is what your tax money is being spent on, and these are the solutions that we see that can change it, make it better, save you money, and hopefully help provide us prosperity going forward.
I've just got like one or two more. You'd have to go through appropriations, though, I assume? And so how do you then...
That's the way Congress works, yeah.
With big, lofty goals, I mean, I think you guys are one less seat in your majority, so it's incredibly slim margins. You do have the White House, you've got the Senate, but like the House might, and where you are, might end up being the issue here. How do you expect to do all these big goals when you've got this tiny little margin here?
Yeah, that's a great question. Maybe Republicans will get better at the one thing we haven't been very good at, and that's working together. But I think we will be able to do that with the mandate that we've been given by the American people. They want President Trump's agenda, and that means Republicans in the House and Senate are actually going to have to step up, get in line, and toe the line and get that done. So I hope that my colleagues are encouraged to fulfill that mandate and, let it be about the mandate and about the American people for once. So I look forward to that.
You've been willing to fight with your fellow Republicans before.
I have no problem with it.
I just want to ask, what will this look like as far as interacting with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy? I don't see them being in the Capitol once a week, roaming around. Maybe. What will this look like as far as them interacting with Congress?
Well, they're coming tomorrow, and that's a great start, and we're very excited they're coming. So there'll be multiple meetings. They will address our entire conference, and I think this is where they will outline their vision for the DOGE, and then hopefully there'll be a question and answer session, and my colleagues will get to ask them questions that they maybe don't know the answers to. So I think that's incredibly important. I think communication is key to making this entire thing successful, and them coming here in person way before we get started on January 20th is a very good sign that we'll be having a lot of communication with them.
I don't know the answer to this. What's your relationship with Musk and Vivek? Like, have you met them? Has it been just a couple times? Like, how well do you know them?
Yeah, I'm getting a head start early. So as you know, well, a lot of people don't know, but it is quite a process. Every new Congress has a setting up period. It's kind of like the order of business. Where January 3rd we all swear in, then we adopt the rules for Congress, and then the steering committees meet. They establish each committee chairmanship, subcommittees, and they fill all the committees and put the members assigned to each one. And then pretty much it'll be maybe the third, maybe fourth week of January when all the committees are actually rolling, just in time when President Trump and his new administration takes office. I've gotten a head start. We're having lots of phone calls, lots of meetings, and I really want to get the planning set in place to be ready to go on day one.